So in 2024, I think Richard Mille might be one of the most overhyped and controversial watch brands in the industry. Now, you've probably seen every single influencer rocking one of their watches, but I just don't think that the price tag that Richard Mille attached to their watches holds any sort of value for money. We're going to dive deeper into this in this video, but before we get into all of that, leave a like and drop a subscribe down below. It will be massively appreciated and really help the channel out. So of course, when we think about overpriced brands, two main companies stand out, that being Hublot and of course Jacob & Co. Now, I do think Richard Mille have actually contributed to the history of horology a bit more than both of these brands, which isn't really an achievement to be honest. However, their watches are still drastically overpriced. You can see a lot of RM watches selling for around $1 million. Now, of course, they are selling pretty well and a lot of people are picking up their watches if they have the money to buy them. This might just be because of the price tag attached to them and the sort of reputation you get for just wearing a Richard Mille watch. But when we look further into these timepieces and start taking apart the brand, you can see a lot of reasons why these watches have just been overpriced. So to begin with, this watch has pretty much no history whatsoever. The brand was actually originally created in 2001 and it has basically no legacy whatsoever, but the founders did have a very clear vision. They wanted to make a luxury watch that does keep time pretty well. Now, I'm not going to lie, some Richard Mille watches are really good for sort of racing and they do keep time really well, I'm not going to lie. However, it's almost impossible to tell the time on these watches. I mean, when you look at the dial, it's not clear what time it is whatsoever, and that's because a lot of these timepieces have just too much going on. This is again my problem with some other brands in the luxury watch industry. They start to make their watches look more like pieces of art than an actual timepiece. It does really annoy me, and I think it's nothing that a luxury brand should be doing. And just because these watches are selling well does not mean that they should be priced at $1 million. It doesn't mean that these timepieces hold any more value for money than a Seiko timepiece. I suppose everything is sort of a matter of opinion, and if you're willing to pay $1 million for a Richard Mille watch, then good on you, even though you are pretty much an idiot for doing that. It's all about what someone's going to pay for a watch is what the brand is going to price it at. As I mentioned, they're selling pretty well, so maybe they should keep the prices at about $1 million for a watch and just keep robbing money from their consumers, milking the brand as much as they can, because I can't see this brand being around in 100 years time. Now, that's a genuine statement. I cannot see Richard Mille existing the way it is right now in 100 years time, like I can with Rolex and Omega, who are already over 100 years old. A lot of people say their biggest problem with a Richard Mille watch is that it has a Velcro strap on the bracelet, and don't get me wrong, that's extremely annoying. It should never be on a £1 million watch. It's absolutely insane that they actually have put a Velcro strap on some of their timepieces that are that expensive. But like I've already mentioned, my big issue is that you can't even read the time on some of their watches from a distance, or they make it for some reason really difficult to read their watches. A lot of other luxury watch brands in the industry are making so much better watches than Richard Mille, but on the other hand, things can change. There's no recipe how to start a new high-end watch company, and Richard Mille do seem to have found a successful formula. Maybe they'll change the designs in the future, but if you do want your company to survive for centuries, then you've got to tone down your designs. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and drop a subscribe. It will be massively appreciated and really help the channel out. You might as well put the notification button on as well, because we post a new video every single day about timepieces.